Hi, Rosie. Thank you so much for joining
Hi.
me today for a little bit of a chat about yoga and how it's beneficial for singers.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
This is quite a broad topic, obviously, but when it comes to things like engaging the core, what exercise do you recommend for singers? And conversely to that, is there anything that you would say that singers should be a little bit wary of?
I mean, I say in all my videos as well, everyone's body is different and it's really finding what works the best for you. So it's really just, deciding on your fitness level, or you don't even need to be fit, it's just doing these basic exercises. In terms of avoiding, there's nothing to avoid except making sure you start small to build up. Don't just go in with these crazy, like, I don't know, burpees or something. I mean, I never do burpees, but don't throw yourself in too difficult. And as well, just really be mindful of the neck, which is one of the things that I try and say when I'm talking to singers about core exercises. Things like crunches and sit-ups, although they're great, unless you're actually like really just working the core, often people starting them will just naturally use their neck, which for singers, we need to be so mindful of this area. It's quite delicate, really. So I try to just give exercises that, you either do maybe lying on the back, just leg raises, start to engage lower muscles of the core. Planks, some people love them, some people hate them. It's so good as well because they are just like a full body engagement switch on, and you can modify them completely for you as well. So, knees down or on the forearms. But even if I'm doing a plank, I will always nod and shake my head to make sure that I'm not gripping in my neck. It's starting with small. Maybe it's just one plank that you hold for 5 seconds. You're like, okay, what's my level? How much can I hold this? How much is my core switched on? And then thinking, can I progress this a little bit more?
Absolutely. And I love what you were saying about kind of not jumping in straight away. I certainly had this misconception about yoga that maybe I just wasn't in a place where I had enough physical fitness or flexibility to be able to even start. It's actually a lot more accessible than I thought and very accessible for beginners.
Yeah, it's so accessible. And nearly every yoga posture will have a modification, a way you can make it easier or more difficult if you want to challenge yourself. So you can always make something work for you. And actually, one of my favorites, which I mentioned, just lying on your back, all you're doing is lifting up one leg really slowly and lowering, and then the other. And it's after you do it for like a minute, you're like, whoa, this is really working the core, but it's really simple.
Mhm.
So starting with something like that is a great place to start. Any type of yoga flow is so great for the core because you're working on balance. Maybe you're just holding a lunge or a warrior posture. And if you're going to get the best alignment, you need to have the core muscles engaged. It's 360 in the torso, to keep your spine healthy and supported. So any type of flow, actually, you're probably going to end up working your core muscles without even actively doing a plank and holding it or saying, oh, I've got to do my core exercises. You
Yeah.
can just flow as well,
Yeah.
if that's something that you would find more fun or accessible to you.
So how do you feel that regular yoga practice has affected your singing personally?
Yeah, I actually came to yoga at a time, I think I was kind of quite busy and stressed, and I was driving a lot as well. I was holding so much tension in my upper body, and I think because I was stressed, I was very kind of just gripping everywhere. And I just found that after I did yoga, my body, my mind would feel so much clearer, and then my voice kind of just opened up so much, and it just felt really different. Um, and then I just started to kind of think about the connections a little bit more. Started reading books about yoga and the voice, and did my yoga teacher training and things. And I just was noticing all of these connections. I think my singing, I've become so much more aware of my body, and thinking about my voice as a whole instrument. Whereas although I had fantastic musical training, we never really spoke about it. I mean, this was like, 10 years ago. I'm sure things have developed a little bit more now. But yeah, my training, it was very much kind of, you learn to breathe, you learn to sing and perform. And that was it really. But I find yoga's just, kind of opened me up to just feeling more in control of my body, but having so much more freedom at the same time. So I feel I can kind of approach things in a much more, an easier way rather than just doing it, just singing. I think I can kind of actually, understand the technique and why I'm doing things a lot more in my singing when I just connect it to the body. And yoga's been so useful. I mean, endless. We could talk about it for hours. But yeah, in general, I do think it's that thing of having that flow, that energy makes you feel more free, but then understanding the muscles, the engagement of the muscles that are kind of needed, whether that's breath, alignment, it's just, made me feel much more in control.
And I can imagine that would have been such an exciting thing to discover as well, getting into that for the first time and kind of almost rediscovering your voice in a way. It sounds like oh, it all of a sudden feels so much more open. That's really cool.
Yeah, and because I think at that time when I started doing more yoga, I was kind of teaching a lot. So I hadn't been performing as much. I'd maybe lost my voice a little bit, as a performer. So then when I started to kind of find these things during yoga, it almost made me, like rediscover my voice and start to sing again for myself a little bit more, which is great.
On that topic as well of what you were saying about doing things like when you're learning to sing in the voice studio, things like, breath support not really having been mentioned to you before. Do you feel that that's kind of a little bit problematic, this traditional way of teaching? So much of the time teaching support, there's a lot of talking about images and things like that. Imagine this and visualize this, and it's a little bit abstract, but I get the impression that with yoga, because it's tied immediately to a bodily sensation, that actually could translate to teaching support in a bit of an easier way. What's your experience with that?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, for a start, support is one of those words that what do you mean? Because I just think of support as like anything you can do with your body to help your voice, really. A lot of that, yes, will be that breath control and so I was going to say support. I can't explain it with the same word, but you know what I mean. Controlling the breath, supporting the breath and the voice. So yeah, I think it's that thing. People overthink it because it comes across as quite complex. And often, like you said, it'll be described in a way that is hard to feel it physically. And, you'll be standing up in your voice lesson, not with all teachers, but often you'll be, stood up and they'll say, yes, visualize this, imagine a balloon or something, or, do some of the accents. And it's just, I think it's much kind of harder to access it. And people end up tending to do way too much, and they tend to overthink it, and they try so hard that they either end up gripping in either their abdominals or in the vocal folds. They're trying to kind of fight back, or their tension goes elsewhere because they're concentrating so much. And then they're not even thinking about the singing because they're so focused on breath and support that everything just everything gets in their head and it gets frustrating. Whereas with yoga, it kind of just does it for you. Like I said, if you're in the correct alignment, and you're, or the alignment that works for you, and you're doing an exercise or you're holding a posture, the muscles will just be working. That's why a lot of the time in yoga, I'll just add a sound to the posture so that you feel that engagement and that support. And it kind of just does it for you and makes you so aware of what the muscles, I say could be doing to help you. Obviously, it's different when you translate it into singing, but it's just such a quicker, easier way, I think, to, physically understand the sensations a little bit more. So I'd recommend it. I think people often also, they'll just think about the core as the abdominals. And they'll be like, my abs, I need to switch on my abs. But, the core is so much more. It's, muscles at the front, sides, back, pelvic floor, And yoga, doing that plank, it'll often kick in all those muscles. I need to stop talking about planks though, because some people hate planks, don't they? But particular postures, understanding that it's not just the abs, there's more to it really.
I had heard this misconception that things like abdominal exercises should be avoided if you're a singer because, oh, that's automatically going to make you, tense. Like singers can't have six packs or anything like that. That's going to be terrible for your singing. It's a difference between something being gripped and tight and something just, having facility and, being a toned muscle that you can still release and relax. It's just not something that's kind of rigid.
It's totally about the balance as well. Like, we need some tension in our body at all times so we can stand up straight, but it's kind of feeling like you can maybe release the muscles if you need to on the inhale. It's kind of how you get that balance of the right amount of, I like to call it engagement instead of tension. I try and not use the word tension, engagement that you need. And because of course it's going to be different for different styles, different phrases. You're going to need different levels of engagement. So you don't, we need to have awareness of the core. And I'm sure some singers have got six packs. Some don't. It's got nothing, actually core strength goes much deeper than that. So, but yeah, there's different studies and things done all the time. It's quite exciting with new, vocal pedagogy. People are doing studies like this all the time. So it is interesting to kind of hear people's views, and a lot of them are quite contrasting. But I just think body awareness for your body is kind of the key thing.
I really like what you said about balance as well, because I guess that goes a little bit with balance of musculature as well. Something I really like. So I've been exploring your core videos as well, and I was sore the first time I did it. I mean, looking at it, what you were saying before, just kind of the leg raises and stuff. It's like, oh, that looks very simple. I can do that, and it is simple. But yeah, exactly what you were saying. Like, oh, you can feel it the next day. But something that I really liked about that was, it wasn't just say, the abdominals that were hurting. Like I could feel my whole lat muscles in the back going all the way from like my armpit down to like my lower back, like all of that as well. So I really felt that with your core exercises, there's this amazing balance of you're not just kind of focused on one particular muscle group, that there was definitely that feeling of it being 360 degrees.
I think that's so important as well. I mean, again, there are a lot of different schools of thought on breathing, how to breathe, but like I said, it will change depending genre. I think if I was singing opera, I would breathe very differently to if I was about to belt a phrase. And sometimes, we need more awareness of the obliques, like they're going to help us more. We might need to, engagement of the lats is so useful if you're belting a phrase. Understanding those different muscle groups is just very useful to singers. And to be honest, you'll probably, I know with the video you're talking about, there's different kind of exercises. You can take the ones that you like and think, okay, that's really useful to me. Which one am I going to do today? Or you can just do all of them and see how you feel.
Would you have any advice to give singers that are perhaps new to yoga or just thinking about maybe testing the waters and seeing how they can include it into their singing practice?
It's hard because again, there's so much to it, but really it's just, go on YouTube. It doesn't even have to be my channel. Go and do like a 15-minute beginner flow. Just do it and then just see and sing afterwards and do your normal singing practice and think, oh, did I feel different from moving my body first of all? And if you think, oh yeah, actually that did help, then you could start to, once you're a bit more comfortable, you could start to, like I said, add the zzz, to your exhale as you move, just to bring more awareness of how the voice could connect to the body. And then things like when you're in your singing practice, if you think, oh, I'm finding myself really tense, I'm really stuck, just finding a posture. Like I do lots in standing forward fold. So just stood up, folding forward from the hips, let the arms relax. Such a good place to access breathing. Do some slides in that posture, or tabletop hands and knees is one of my favorite to just access the muscles, the core, but also find release as well, different resonance. So it doesn't have to be full on, I'm going to do a 30-minute yoga flow and sing during it. Like, yes, that's quite fun, but you want to make sure that you're not launching in at the deep end. So yeah, it's a mixture of seeing, how your voice feels after you've done a bit of movement, maybe, because we connect to the breath so much in yoga, which is why it's great. So you're always moving with your inhale and your exhale, which just helps you to, move more efficiently, breathe more efficiently. So it kind of sets you up quite well for singing. And then I suppose in your singing practice, think, oh, how could I access this a bit differently? And also, if you feel a bit stuck during a singing practice, I know we often get frustrated if we're doing a longer practice session. Just take 5 minutes, even if it's just rolling the shoulders, do a little bit of flow with the arms or something, then that can be a really good way to just kind of start and then go from there. But there's lots of great resources out there which kind of will help people to kind of access things.
It's almost like it seems to be like just a way of kind of just shifting your mindset, especially if you're kind of not even just physically stuck with tension, but kind of mentally stuck.
Yeah.
Treating it more as a mindfulness exercise and, saying like, how does my body feel different when I do, X, Y, or Z, rather than being like, oh, I'm having trouble hitting that high note or, anything like this. That it's kind of just a sensory, like, I'm here, I'm in the moment. Let's just kind of have a bit of a fun experiment and see what happens. I love that.
100%. And when I do workshops and classes, which are a bit longer, I always say, we're not finding vocal perfection. We're kind of just exploring and exploring the voice to see kind of what works best. But you're right, yoga's so great to kind of focus the mind. And it also obviously helps to calm our nervous system. So again, it does help you to kind of reset and refocus. And I think it does really shift your perception of things quite a lot. And I'm also very open about this, is that the first time I tried yoga, I really didn't like it. And I didn't do it again for about 5 years. And I think that you need to be in the right, place for it. You need to be like, okay, I think I'm gonna try this and see if I like it. Because it doesn't work for everyone. Maybe if I'd stuck at it a bit longer, I think I was only about 20 then, I would be like, no, I'll try something else. I probably should have stuck with it. But I think you've kind of got to be, open to that, the whole mindset thing as well, which I think I probably wasn't when I first tried it as a student. Whereas when I came back to it, I was like, oh God, I need this. This is so useful and so helpful. So I do encourage people to stick at it, but it's not for everyone.
I would love to hear more about this story about how when you did get into yoga, how did that happen? So it seems you were a singer beforehand, then got into yoga. How did you kind of marry the two together? How did this all come to be?
Oh gosh, yeah. So yes, I would always say I'm primarily a singer, but I think again, I kind of just you get to a point when you think I need to do some physical activity, because I wasn't I was teaching a lot, maybe I wasn't performing as much, and I was darting place to place. So it was just I felt I needed to do something. Thought I'd try yoga as a new thing, and then obviously just really got into it. But it was kind of that thing. I think I spoke to someone at work, and she said, oh, have you read Yoga for Singers? And she was a pianist who did some singing as well, but she just kind of recommended me this book. And it was just, it's a great book, a really nice starting place of just yoga postures, for example, what they're good for and how they might help singers, a little bit about breath work and meditation and things. And it kind of, I'd find that I'd be in a yoga class, and I kept like just a standard yoga class, and I kept thinking, oh, if I could sing now, that would feel really good. But it was just, kind of starting to just understand how that yoga could help the voice. Then, doing the yoga teacher training, and then my knowledge of singing, I suppose, keeping learning about singing, because I like voice science and anatomy of the voice as well. And then, kind of reading different books. Like there's some really good resources. I mean, there's not loads of resources out there, actually, Yoga for Singers. There's like 3 books, and they're all kind of quite different in their approach, actually. So I kind of just thought, I like that I find that works. I think that's easy to access. And started to kind of put together things that I just thought as a singer I would find useful, or a singer doing a particular style or something might want, and started to kind of just put it all together and see, and also get feedback from people and see what kind of works the best for them. That's quite useful. Although my favorite thing when I do workshops is often there'll be we'll do like a flow and a lead class, and then I'll say, oh, let's kind of workshop this, choose one of the postures we've done or something, or choose one thing and take a moment to vocalize whilst you do it. And people nearly always choose different things, and everyone's doing completely different things. And I love it, because that's one size doesn't fit all. So it's really, exploring the body, exploring the voice, finding a way for you to access that thing with your voice, that sense of freedom or control, or both, that you're looking for, really, I suppose.
I love what you said when you started attending the classes and felt like you just wanted to sing and be like, oh, it would be good to sing right now. I love that little, it's almost a little quote, just because singing should feel good, right? So we torture ourselves, mentally so much of the time when we're practicing it and preparing these things and working on our technique. But it should feel good, it should feel fun. So I love that yoga has been that was kind of a really great gateway for you to kind of feel so just the joy of singing. It's lovely.
Oh, it is. And I think yoga gives you a similar sort of feel after you've done it as well, that feel of joy and release, which I think singing often does as well. And actually, when I first started yoga classes, I was too self-conscious to even join in the om. Mm-hmm. Just because I was like, oh God, I don't know why, I just didn't want to. And now I'm singing and doing yoga at the same time. And that's, I think, because doing more of it, I kind of just allowed myself to get immersed in the practice. Mm-hmm. So, sometimes it might take a little bit longer, but often you'll just it'll click and you'll be like, oh, this is really freeing. And it starts to feel really good.
What do you feel opens up to singers as they do more work on their core?
You've kind of said already, I do think that body awareness, and having that understanding a little bit more is so useful. And I suppose it's then feeling like you've got the power, maybe the more technical approach to be able to, sing more challenging pieces. Might be if you're doing a coloratura high piece that's moving very quickly, you find that you maybe have a little bit more control over it because you understand the muscles that you might need a little bit more. It'd be great to practice a coloratura aria in a posture like tabletop downward dog if you're really feeling up to it, to really, I know, maybe feel that engagement. Or like I said, if you're belting, you've got to do a really high, strong, powerful phrase. Understanding the amount of engagement that you need is going to be really useful. Then also, longer phrases as well, breath control to be able to challenge yourself across the phrase is often understanding, having, we talk about core strength. I do think it is more core awareness. Of course, if you build up a bit more strength in the core, you'll find you've got more awareness of it as well. And I just think overall, it kind of gives you a bit more stability. It's that if you've got a stronger core, your spine's going to be healthier. You're going to feel more present. You're going to feel more supported, grounded, whatever that means to you. So I think it might just help you to feel like if you went out into a performance, you would just be like, okay, I've got this. You kind of feel a bit stronger and more present in your body as well. So although, yes, it might help you to be able to tackle those more tricky phrases and repertoire, I think a lot of it is just giving you, that confidence to feel powerful.
It sounds very holistic, that not only do you have more awareness, but this whole concept of stability and confidence as well is really, really interesting. Wonderful.
Yeah, because we often use the word grounded in yoga, and I think again people can interpret that in different ways, but it is it's that sense of being like, okay, I've got this, which is really holistic.
Have you got any projects coming up, any classes?
I'm I'm tending to run one monthly class of my own at the moment, which will all run a different theme and just explore the whole body, vocalizing, moving and things. At the moment, I said tending because I might not do it over summer because people might be sunning themselves. But my next one coming up will be Sunday, the 27th of June. But if you kind of keep an eye out on my socials, then you'll see and get a feel for if that class is right for you. It might be that you want to go to a more active one, a more softer one as well. And then, just YouTube. I put out weekly practices, weekly videos to kind of give you a taste of yoga for singers as well. And I'm just excited for summer, actually, where I'm going to sit down and be like, okay, I want to get all this stuff out there, lots of ideas and courses and things. But yeah, if anyone's interested in kind of exploring that connection, then come to a class.
Highly vouch for your YouTube channel as well. I
thank you.
Love it. So thank you very much for your work, and thank you so much for your time and sitting down and having a chat with a complete yoga beginner like myself.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's always nice to spread the word, and then hope that you might maybe try it as well, get into it a bit more.